So, I thought, our defense did a pretty good job until the end of the game. We got to play a lot of players, and they made some mistakes that gave them some plays, but I think the experience will do them well. Offensively, we got to play a lot of players. Obviously, the experience will, help them as well. But, all in all, it was a good win. You got to give a lot of credit to their team. It's kind of their team's dream to play in a game like this. So they're going to play out their dream. And they played hard and they played really good and they had a good plan. And their players, competed their tail off in the game. And I got to give their coach and their team a lot of credit for that. But we got to get ready and look forward to the things that we have to do to try to improve ourselves to be able to, play next week at Florida. It's an SEC game, and we'll kind of go from there. We had some guys out today, and Joe didn't play. Jaylen Armour-Davis didn't play. LeBron Ray still didn't play. Will Anderson went out, checking out his knee. He's questionable as to what his circumstance will be here for the upcoming week.
Yes, if you could assess the offensive play, the first few possessions of the game, what you see out there, what went right on?
Well, what'd you think? I mean, it's kind of a loaded question, isn't it? If it stinks, it stinks. It smells bad for everybody. Smell bad for you? Yeah. What do you want me to do? Make excuses for them? We did a poor job of blocking. They did some movements up front. We didn't sustain blocks. All right, so we didn't have much success running the ball. We stopped ourselves 4 times in the first half with a drop pass on third down, a drop pass that had been a big play pass, and 2 penalties. 1 penalty brought back a touchdown. 1 penalty stopped the drive. So, I don't know how many possessions we had in the first half, but there's 4 right there where we stopped ourselves. So,
Koolaid got his first start today. How would you assess how he did on at the cornerback spot?
I thought he did a good job. I really did. He knew the game plan. He prepared well. He played well in the game. We on the long touchdown pass. I'm not sure if he should have been in the backside half or he should have followed his guy over. I know we busted in the back end on that one, and we busted on the other touchdown pass that they threw too. New group, one side's running one thing, the other side's running something else. So we got nobody in the deep part of the field. So, but I thought Koolaid did fine.
There's another big freshman come up there today was Jojo Earle. Can you just talk about him as a receiver and a punt returner and what you saw out of him today?
Yeah, well, we're trying to get Jojo experience. We think he's an explosive player. He played some last week, caught a couple, shorter passes. We've been working him as a punt returner, trying to get him to gain confidence. So as soon as we saw that they were going to punt us the ball today, Slade is very dependable back there, but Jojo can be very explosive. But again, penalties. The one thing you got to have is you got to be able to be disciplined as a player. You got to have discipline as a player. It means the choices and decisions that you make as a football player are legal and you're not getting penalties. And you got to maintain your intensity so that you can have good discipline. And that's how you create the right kind of habits. All right, so we had 5 penalties on special teams last week. I don't know how many we had today. All right, but it's ridiculous. And we got to get it fixed.
Yes, game that got started for you sort of with a special teams play. And I know it may be up and down, but I just wondered if you talked about the overall special teams play today.
Well, other than the penalties, we blocked a punt, scored a touchdown, changed field position several times with punt returns. And, I thought the kickoff cover team did a really good job. We had several tackles inside the 15, or inside the 20. So I thought the teams, other than the penalties,
I was stupid, but I went.
I mean, we negated positive yards.
Where the hell's he
I don't
throwing?
care how you cut
5
the
yards.
mustard in a football game. All right, 100 yards usually equals 7 points. All right, so if you get 100 yards of penalties, you just gave the other team 7 points because you gave up that much field position. All right, so when you have a 25-yard return and you get a 10-yard penalty, and that's a 35-yard penalty. All right, so you just keep adding those up, and you see what you're giving up.
Coach, what did you see from Mercer today that could make them contenders within their own conference?
I think Mercer's got a good team. They got a lot of experienced players. They got a system on offense that's really difficult to prepare for because it's not something that you see all the time. So, we only had about, I think, maybe 4 calls in regular and 4 calls in nickel, and make sure we're trying to play them right. They play hard. They play with toughness. Their defense really plays well. They run to the ball. They read, run, pass. They're very disciplined in the way they play. I don't know all the teams in their conference, and I don't see them all play, but I would say that this is a pretty good team at their level.
Coach, what are some things that you guys are going to work on for this game to help, other than with the penalties?
I really.
What do you need to do going into Florida to play better other than the penalties?
Well, these are all choices and decisions that players make. They make a decision to throw their helmet. They make a decision to grab and throw another guy on the ground, whether it's controlling your emotions. Because when you're emotional, you make bad decisions. All right. So you got to play with intensity, but not out of control. And we got to make better choices and decisions. Your question would be like somebody asking me, how are you going to get this guy to quit swinging at balls over his head in baseball? It's a bad decision. It's a bad choice. You can tell them, you can show them, you can tell them, you can show them. And eventually you play somebody else in their place. Because they're not dependable. It's accountability. I have a job to do. I told the story today. Maybe we need more of this. When I was growing up, I worked for my dad. All right. So every day at dinner, he would do that to the table. And there was a reckoning for everything that you were supposed to do that day. So if you're supposed to cut the grass, did you sweep the walk? Did you trim? Did you put the mower away? Did you clean the mower? And if you didn't do any of those things right, you're going to do it again. We might need a little of that somewhere along the line.
Okay, we're going to finish up with Charlie on today.
Yeah, Coach, you kind of touched on Koolaid earlier, but do you have an update on Josh Jobe and Jaylen Armour-Davis? And how do you think both Koolaid and Marcus Banks did stepping in for him?
I already said Koolaid did a good job. So have anything else to say about that? I think the other guys should be back. We didn't think their injuries were that serious to start with, but they were a little more serious than what we originally anticipated or thought they would be, and they weren't able to practice all week. And I didn't want to play the guys in the game if they didn't practice against this offense. Because it's a lot of rotations and a lot of different things going on that, if you don't get reps doing it, and some of the play action passes they have, which we didn't match very well at the end of the game, especially with the second team in there, are really difficult, and you got to be really disciplined and have discipline eye control to play it. So I think those guys will be back.
All right. Thanks, Coach.